Welcome to the final circuit for Project 2, Circuit 2C, the Simon Says game. In this circuit, we'll add back in the LEDs from Project 1 to make a fun, interactive, handheld game. You'll notice that the code blocks in this circuit are a bit larger and more intimidating than in previous circuits. Don't worry, you don't have to know exactly what every line of code does, and if you want, you can just run them as is. Or, as always, you can just press the Restart the Kernel and Run All Cells button. However, if you're a bit curious, you can also dig as deep as you want to into the specifics of the code blocks. The code blocks for this circuit often use a concept known as for loops. For loops are an easy way to execute the same few lines of code multiple times in a row. This is useful in this circuit because we have 4 buttons and 4 LEDs, and wherever we can, it would be nice to perform operations with them all at once without having to copy the same lines of code 4 times. In MicroPython, a for loop takes a list of values and performs the lines of code inside the for loop once for each element in the list. So, if we passed this list of numbers into the for loop, it would run the line of code in the for loop 4 times, once for each number in our list. Let me show you what I mean. The following code prints each number in our list. The print statement inside the for loop will run once for each of our list values, 0, 1, 2, and 3. It will set the myNumber variable equal to the current list value each time before running the code inside the loop. So, on the first loop iteration, myNumber will be set to 0, and then the print statement will be called with myNumber and it will print 0. On the second loop iteration, myNumber will be set to 1, and then the print will be called and print 1, and so on. Sometimes we use the variable set by the for loop, myNumber in this case, and sometimes we don't. We only care that the loop runs the correct number of times. Imagine we wanted to run the loop a very large number of times. It would be quite annoying to make a list of 200 values to run a loop 200 times. That is why Python has a shorthand for creating a list of a certain number of values. The range function will return a list of values from 0 up to, but not including, the number you pass to it. So, range of 2 is the same as the list 0 and 1. And range of 4 is the same as our list, 0, 1, 2, and 3. We could sub it into our for loop to make it more readable, and to easily change the number of times the loop runs. Since in this circuit, we're only using hardware components that we've already seen, that's it for theory for Circuit 2C. Now let's build the thing. We'll keep our same potentiometer and buzzer setup as our last 2 circuits. We'll also keep the same button setups as the last digital trumpet circuit, but we'll add a 4th blue button above the others. Finally, we'll add a similar colored LED and a current limiting resistor next to every button in our circuit. Again, there are many components close together in this circuit, so make sure you exactly follow the diagram in your guide. There are 4 large code blocks we need to run to operate our game. The first, as usual, will set up all of our input and output pins, and we'll create lists for them that we can use later to pass into for loops. The second sets up some necessary constants, which you can change to make the game easier or harder. The third block creates some helper functions, which we will use to run our game. When we run the 4th cell, our game runs, and we can play Simon Says. I know that one had a ton of wires and components, so good job sticking to it and completing the last circuit of Project 2. You've now mastered both light and sound and have a fun handheld game that you can show off to your friends and family. Whenever you're ready to take it apart, make sure to join us next time for Project 3, where we're going to be learning all about motion.